Alright everybody, welcome to episode 15 of our Elden Ring Let's Play. Or at least this is what we're calling episode 15. This episode's going to be a little bit different. Things kind of played out a little differently here. Let me explain what happened. Basically, I was at a point where I was able to play the game, and I was able to capture the game, but due to the circumstances I was in, I could not record my commentary live while I was playing the game. So I opted to still play, to still record, and now I'm kind of just going back over it and recording commentary after the fact or in post. That said, knowing that was the situation with this, I kind of tried to restrict myself to, not story stuff, not main stuff, which I kind of did. I kind of inched into some stuff I didn't really intend to. But it's all here and it's all recorded, so I'm going to walk through it. So, that said, it is a lot still. This ends up being around 2 hours, I think. I edited all this footage ahead of time, and now I'm just doing commentary after the fact. I would consider this stuff kind of on the borderline of necessary if you're watching the Let's Play in general. Like, you might be able to get away with skipping this episode, but some stuff isn't going to make sense. Anyway, though, I'm just going to get right into the main stuff that happened during this playthrough. So, I had a note in my inventory, and I saw that it said there was a strange person over at the Waypoint Ruins. So, what you're seeing right now is pretty much my approach to the Waypoint Ruins. There was this flower monster there that liked to try and poison everything, and also had a weird barrage magic attack that it liked to throw out every so often. It was weak to fire, and the fire actually stopped that poison attack from happening, which was cool. I figured that out kind of after the fact. So, yeah, there was the big one, there was the small ones. Pretty much the only enemies above ground here at the Waypoint Ruins. So pretty much I just worked on taking them out, and from there it was clear. Pretty much from there, I was able to just look around, look through the ruins, and find some halfway decent loot. Then at the bottom, there was a boss that I had to go into. It was just one of those staircases with the two torches like you usually see leading to treasure. I wasn't going to speed through a lot of the boss fights, but this guy's an exception. I'm kind of speeding through this one because he's just a recycled enemy that you find out in the world in general anyway. So I don't really feel bad about zipping through that boss fight because you're going to see me fight those guys again anyway, possibly in this. I can't remember. I think I fight at least one more in this play session, but definitely in the future anyway too. So this lady was down there. This is the main thing. Sorceress. I'll let you guys hear what she has to say.
No wonder you should turn up here. I am Selen, a sorcerer, quite plainly. Why are you here?
So I'm not really interested in sorcery, but I tell her that I am anyway, because that's just what you do.
I dare say your proclivities are far from ideal. Oh well, perhaps nurture will defy nature, with a bit of luck. But one must choose one's masters wisely. I was exiled from the Academy of Reya Lucaria. As a reviled, apostate witch. Do you still wish to learn from me? Well, you are a piece of work. Very well. You are now my protégé in Glintstone sorcery. But I refuse to coddle, or cast kind words. Never. Anticipate grievances, young apprentice.
So, yeah, now she'll sell me some sorcery stuff, and I can bring her texts, various, scrolls or tomes or whatever it's referred to primarily in this game. In order to accommodate this recording, I'm actually watching this back on pretty low resolution, so it might have said some of the words on screen, but I'm not actually able to really read text at the moment. I'm just giving myself a general idea. Oh yeah, she gave me an emote too. So then, yeah, the next thing I did was I decided to just go south into that southern landmass of Limgrave, and start exploring that a little bit. I figured, again, I'm keeping myself in Limgrave for the most part, just to avoid regressing north, because that seems like the main direction. So yeah, there was this bridge, there was a ballista in the back. Basically pretty straightforward. I just ended up evening my odds by doing a ash summon, and from there pretty much beat my way through. I mean, I rushed it first because I wanted to get behind that ballista as soon as possible. And took those guys out, took these guys out. They didn't really put up too much resistance. Kind of a big group of them, but again, with the summon, not a big deal. So yeah, took them out, and then there's some loot that was around the area. The main thing, the only real, like, major thing I think that was here, well, that was an upgrade material. That's pretty decent. That was a drop from an enemy there. But there was a swordstone key. Yeah, right here. So that's the biggest thing you don't want to miss on that bridge. On the right over there, there was a spot of grace, but then there was also this NPC further down the road.
Might I bend your ear for a moment, please?
Let's hear her out.
My name is Irina. I've escaped from Castle Morn to the south. The servants there have rebelled. I can't be sure what it is. My eyesight's been weak since birth, you see. But I swear I heard frightful howling from all over. My good father secreted me out the castle, but decided himself to stay. He says it's his duty. As commander. I fear for father's life. The servants are full wrath, filled with hatred for every one of us. They've since come for every one of the companions I escaped with. They haven't spared a soul. I fear it's no different at Castle Morn. Please, I implore you, would you mind taking a letter to my father at the castle? My sole wish is that he escape, even if his honor should be the price. Please. I just want him to be safe. Thank you. Dearly. Then please, take this. Deliver it to my father, who remains in the castle, if you please.
So yeah, we take on that quest. That was actually kind of nice. A nice little reference to DS3 there with Irina and Morn. Irina being the name of the girl that becomes a firekeeper, and her protector was Aegon of Karim, I think. But his armor and his weapon, I think, were both named Morn. I think it was Morn's armor and something else. Anyway, on that map there, I marked the spot where I should find the map fragment. On my way there, I ran into this tower where there was the ballista shooting down at those demi-human enemies. And I just went up to the top of that, and then I found a chest up there. And in that chest was the hand ballista, which looks cool. I think it's got a pretty high strength requirement, though. I think it's like 30 or something like that, so I'll have to try that out eventually. Found another one of these guys that points to a cave or ruin. It was a little confusing at first because it basically points straight down into the freaking dirt. So I'll admit I smacked the dirt a couple times being like, is there something hidden here? But no, there's just a cave on the underside of that cliff. So I was kind of trying to make my way to it, but wasn't really able to figure it out. And I think I just redirected at that point and was like, let me get the map. That will give me a better idea of where I should be headed. So I continued heading towards the map fragment. That led me up here to Next Site of Grace. This was just basically straight down that main road that's even appears on the map as you're heading down that southern landmass in Limgrave. So yeah, we had a Site of Grace there, which obviously popped that off. And then we also had a new merchant right around the corner from... Oh, and another Knights Cavalry there who we'll get to fighting in a second.
Buying or selling?
Also, this guy kind of sounds like Johnny Depp. Anyway, yeah, so I won't speed through this boss fight. I'll kind of just let it play out and maybe comment on a few things with it. Again, it's just another Knights Cavalry like the one that I fought on the bridge back by the Stormgate and the Stormgate ruins. This one has a different weapon. He's got that like flail, the double. I think it's a double flail. Yeah. So yeah, he wasn't Terrible. I think he's a little tougher than the one on the bridge. I think he hits a little harder with that weapon. And, yeah, like right there, that might have been the second or third time he hit me the whole time, but it was enough to check me off the horse at that point. It didn't kill the horse, because I think I resummoned pretty quickly. Yeah, it just was enough to knock me off. Yeah, I think he does a little bit more damage than the other one. Maybe just because, you know, we're further down into the map now. The other one you're likely to encounter pretty early. But overall, fighting him wasn't too bad. I think I get him on the first try. Mainly just because I didn't have to fight him on a bridge or whatever like I did with the other one. We've got this big open field with nothing around, so it's really just a game of doing drive-bys on each other until one of us inevitably drops. That said, I didn't have to fight the other Knights Cavalry that I fought on the bridge either. It just felt, I don't know, cinematically appropriate. So I kind of leaned into that for the first few attempts, and ultimately I think it ended up hurting me more than making things look cool. I ended up looking dumber than cool. But anyway, yeah, this guy, much more straightforward fight. Just like I said, different weapon, and a little more, I want to say a little more aggressive, just like I said. It seems to hit a little bit harder. Knocked me off my horse again. That time I think, no, I still don't think he killed the horse. I think he just kept knocking me off. I think I almost considered just fighting him on foot here. But I don't recall that working out too well. I think his horse has low health at this point, so I was kind of like, I'm just trying to knock you off the horse, which, yeah, happens right there. And then I get the riposte while he's down. And I think he barely gets to do anything once he's up. Yeah, he like swung right over my head because we were on a slight decline there. Pretty funny. Anyway, yeah, I got an Ash of War from him, and I got his weapon, which I don't think I can use. I forget what it requires, but I don't meet the requirements. This is just a little past there. This is the broken wall that he came through when we first saw him. But this continues downwards towards the castle. These notes said something about an archer or a sniper. But the map fragment is pretty much right down there. I think one of the notes even addresses the map fragment. So I was pretty much like, alright, let me approach and see when I start getting fired upon and from where. And after that point, I'm just going to rush for the map fragment, since I know where to avoid. So pretty much comes directly from the castle. And I tried to drive by and grab it there, but didn't get close enough. Just grabbed it and just got out of there. I think I stopped there for a second just to be like, can I see where, like, who is firing or what it is? Is it a ballista or what? But couldn't really see yet. I wasn't planning on doing the castle part, but I do eventually end up coming back there later. So where are we now? Oh, this is just me resting after having gotten the map, so I look around the map a little bit. We've also got, we've clearly got that big Erd tree in the middle there. I don't know why I was looking up north. I think I was looking at that side where it was still unrevealed, up in that other region. Yeah, so at some point I looked around the map. That bottom corner is still unrevealed too. That's the castle that I just went over right there. So yeah, we had a big forest. We got that Erd tree there. Then there's a big plain. And I went around at a certain point marking everything. And right there I'm seeing what direction that statue was pointing at for that that other dungeon. That might be where I go next. I don't know, we'll see. I think I left a couple things out. That thing I marked there ended up being another one of those trees where the dead guy like comes out and leads you to a dungeon, or cave in this case. It might be in later. I don't know, we'll see. But like minor stuff like that didn't really lend me anything, any major new items or anything, I didn't include. So yeah, this stream was pretty close to that spot of grace, and yeah, we got that turtle shell shield, which is kind of funny. The stats aren't great, but it has interesting Ash of War on it, where it like reinforces itself. I think I got that Ash of War separately later, but anyway, yeah. So then right near that tower was this really cool little wizard's tower, something I guess you would call it. I remember getting off and reading this book. Again, the text is, I'm not really able to go over text right now, but it says something about finding 3 beasts or something like that. And and that will open up that barrier. As soon as you read that, that one turtle appears, so it's kind of obvious you're supposed to get that one. The messages nearby, I think, said much to the same effect, that you just attack them. So there's 3 overall. They're all very close to the tower. They were kind of difficult to find. I definitely spent a little while riding around. I wanted to see if the 3 changed to a 2 there after I found the first one, but I think it still said 3. So that first one wasn't invisible, but this one was. Your only hint really was that ripple in the water there. So ended up whacking him. And then the last one, I think, was in a bush somewhere. This one didn't disappear like the other one did, though, so I was a little confused. I kept swinging at him for a second, but I was like, I think I got it. And then, yeah, this one was just on the side of the building, almost right near the staircase. So the one that was at the bottom of the staircase and then that one were, like, right there. So that undid the seal. We go inside, and this was just a cool little spot. I think I pulled out the torch here because it was a little dark, but, you know, it's like a library. It's classic kind of wizard's tower layout, but it was cool how it was, you know, out in the forest with all the colorful foliage and stuff. I like the presentation, I guess, if you will, of it. That said, it is kind of magic-oriented, so the main prize of the whole thing didn't really benefit me all that much. I'm pretty sure it was... I forget the name of the item, but it was like something related to adding a memory slot. I guess enabling you to attune more magic. I haven't really messed around with magic yet in this game, so I can't really speak to it. But yeah, these guys were just south, I think, of that tower. And they seem noteworthy, but I didn't really get anything off of them that I would say is noteworthy. But yeah, I had another one of these guys with them. The guy that had that... I think he's basically the same as the guy I fought on the beach that one time that had that Ash of War that imbues your weapon with magic. It's like a gravity-focused thing. Yeah, see, that would have pulled me in there, and then I think it uses, that to pull me into. So, another one of these guys walking around. He doesn't drop anything, and then I killed the other guys, and I think they dropped maybe some magic-focused items for, like, replenishing FP or something, but I didn't notice anything of major note, but it's entirely possible I missed something. Anyway, right by them was the path down to the tomb, I guess you call it. Yeah, that statue was pointing at. Back when I thought it was pointing into the ground, it was actually pointing to this tomb. Yeah, Impaler's Catacombs. So that got me kind of excited. I thought this was there was going to be some sort of major reference to Demon Souls in the Impaler. At least I'm pretty sure that's what he was called. One of the later bosses in Area 1, Demon Souls. So other than that, it was a straightforward tomb. I mean, we had these imp guys to fight again. Usual straightforward combat with them. I think there was there's like one cool puzzle in here, which I think I show after these guys. I think I just included this clip to be like, yeah, this was it. Very similar interior, very similar enemies. Some of these tombs seem like they get a little bit repetitious. I'm hoping that cycle breaks as we enter different regions or something. Because I'm getting like almost like Chalice dungeon vibes. They're not procedurally generated, but lots of recycled stuff. So yeah, that's the puzzle. It moves up towards the ceiling. If you stand on it, there's spikes up there, so you pretty much die. And being online kind of gave away the solution. I'm sure I would have figured it out eventually, but see, there's messages down there, so it's not quite a leap of faith, but yeah, you need to step on it and then drop down underneath it. Without those messages and the blood stain there, though, I guess I would have had to look for that purple flower or something to give me a hint. Anyway, boss of this area, friggin' nightmare, man. I mean, it was just the Grave, the Watchdog or whatever again. That's a cat for some reason. It's called a watchdog, but it's a cat. But there was also 3 or 4 imps at the same time with him. It sucked. I mean, some of the hints outside said to use summon, so I summoned almost immediately when I came in, because I kind of saw it too and was like, oh shit, it's a group. Yeah, I mean, with the summons, it made it more manageable. I finished it on my first try, but basically just had to take the ads out first, you know, classic strategy, get rid of the ads and then focus on the boss. With the, like I say, with the summons, it made it not so bad. But I could imagine if you're one of those people that insists on doing every boss solo with, you know, definitely no NPC or player summons, but also no Ash summons either, like, good luck with this one. They bum rush you, like, pretty much as soon as you walk in the room. And we're talking, you know, 5 enemies at once. That said, once you get through the ads, it's a pretty straightforward fight with this watchdog again, which we've seen before. So I think I fast forward through the latter part of this. Maybe not. This one does have 3 heads. I can't remember if we fought one with 3 heads before. But basically, as far as I can tell, yeah, there I go, fast forwarding. As far as I can tell, yep, that's the only thing that it really affects. The only difference I can tell between the 1-headed one and the 3-headed one is it just shoots 3 flames of fire when it does that attack, as opposed to a single straight-out stream, which doesn't change much, as far as I can tell. So yeah, I mean, not a hard boss, but I don't know, I can't think of another word other than, like, awkward to fight. The way he moves, I mean, he hits really hard, but he just kind of, like, floats and likes to slam down and all that. He's not bad, but like I said, awkward, a little irritating. Anyway, killing him gets you the demi-human mob of ashes. I think I was 1 FP short of being able to summon them, so I don't think I used them. Anyway, at this point, I went around doing some NPCs. I got kind of paranoid because I hadn't been to this girl in a while, and I thought, oh god, maybe I missed my chance to proceed her quest line, but she basically just ends up saying the same stuff. Okay, then next NPC, this guy showed up at Roundtable Hall, so...
I'm known as D. I hunt down those who live in death and weed their death root. Heed my warning. Those who live in death should be left well alone. All the more should you spy a mariner among their number, unless you wish to lay down your life in vain. Well, well, with a prowess for weeding deathroot. How would you like to earn the strength of beasts? If you're inclined to hunt more of those who live in death and weed their deathroot, then I'll introduce you to Garank, the beast clergyman. I have a matter of my own to attend to, and the beast himself wishes for someone to take my place. What say you? Very well. Show me your map. I've marked the location for you, of a hidden gateway. It will lead you to Garank, the beast clergyman.
So then I checked my map just to see where exactly he marked that. Yeah, it was northeast. You can see it right there. I'm hovering over it now. I don't think I went there immediately, but I do go there soon. Oh yeah, so here I just used 2 sword keys to open up this other fog wall. There was that one fog wall before it that I used 1 sword key previously to open up. This one required 2. Just opened up the next thing. I figured as far as using sword keys, I might as well use the ones that are basically in my home base first and just get those out of the way. Give me a book. It was a thieves something or other. It's something I give to a merchant to expand their inventory of spells or whatever. This kind of hit me. It's referring to DS3 when you sit by the fire with Sigurd and have a Sigbrew. So, nostalgia. yeah, I started dicking around with the Flask of Wondrous Physic. I initially thought that these were like consumables in the sense that you use them once and they're gone, so I was kind of saving them. But then I found out that wasn't the case, that you just mix 2 items for that effect, and then you get a single use out of the flask, but then just like your other flasks, it refills when you sit at a, I want to say bonfire, but Site of Grace. So this is the portal that guy just briefly ago told me about to go visit the East guy. So yeah, I went over to that and went through it, and this is pretty wild. Greyall's Barrow? Dragon Barrow? So I thought that was a statue at first, but then I locked on and I just was like, so much nope. Not going that way. That thing looks like a nightmare to fight. But obviously this structure is where I was supposed to end up, or supposed to go, so I just went inside that. This is sort of like one of the first covenants, I guess? Bestial Sanctum. Because there is like a specific item that you bring to this covenant leader, whatever, but so far I haven't gotten, like, you know, in Dark Souls 3 you had the covenant items that you would equip to say you're part of that covenant, and you even have still in this one like that blank spot next to your health, FP, and stamina, to the left of it. I mean, when my HUD pops up eventually, I'll maybe point it out, or you'll just see it. And yeah, the symbol there would change based on what covenant you were currently in, so anyway.
I smell it. Death. Feed it me.
This guy is very bloodborne.
Tarnished. Bring more deaths. I shall grant thee eye and claw. Feed me more.
Yeah, it gave me a few decent things, but I think, again, they're mostly like faith or int focused magic stuff and miracle stuff.
I shall grant thee eye.
Basically just says the same thing again.
Feed me more.
Okay, so here, this is where things got pretty interesting, and I kind of went to an area that I didn't fully intend to go to. So as I just pulled the map up, you kind of saw this path leads parallel almost to Stormville Castle, around the east side of it. And I thought this was just going to take me like around the side and maybe into like what I would call like the backyard of Stormville Castle, excuse me. But it ended up being more than that. I thought Stormville Castle was basically the gateway to the next area to get into the north, where we'd have to go through that whole dungeon, and then we'd get access there. That's pretty much just what the map was telling me. But, yeah, well, you'll see what happens here. First, we found this lady, who really wanted to do a palm reading on me.
Your fingers, please, your fingers. Oh, bless you. Head to the foundation of gold tarnished. Traverse Reya, Lucaria, glintstone eventide, and reunite the half-crescents at the grand lift. Oh, but the bridge is collapsed and cannot be crossed. Only, why should that matter? Stormville Castle still stands tall.
So she seems maybe sort of kind of a little bit completely insane. I only vaguely understand what she's talking about with the crescents. I think I already found half of one at one location. but it might be a different crescent. But it's definitely a puzzle in the same vein. Anyway, the bridge is out, like she says. At the end here, we get another cookbook, and then kind of proceed down to the left there, which leads up to a pathway that goes up the cliff face, kind of, like I say, parallel to the castle. Yeah, just continue dropping down here, and then I did notice here, read a message first, but then I hit the bloodstain, and it actually did play out. That was, I guess, I don't know, a bug or something before, maybe a network issue, but when I was hitting the bloodstains before, I wasn't getting those visions. I think I got a little paranoid here too, because I saw so many bloodstains, but it turns out it was just people pretty much riding around and, you know, overshooting jumps or whatever, or testing things they shouldn't have been. So a lot of people dying here for that reason. There's no enemies at this point, well, except for that guy, I guess, if you can call him an enemy. He was rolling around right nearby. He's got that Ash of War for the shield. Proceeded up here. This leads up into that path. It's pretty narrow, pretty dark too, even though it was during the day. I think it was mainly the fog. I mean, again, we're next to Stormville Castle. I'm assuming that's where it got its name. Yeah, as you can see there, that big structure on our left is Stormville Castle. So I feel like even as early as this, I started questioning where I was headed and if I should be heading this way. It was long, it was windy. I kind of took it slow because I was worried about running into enemies, but there weren't really any enemies. Right up here, I run into like a small wolf pack, and there was basically just a couple of those. There was this one, which was only like 3 or 4 wolves, and then there's another one a little bit later, and I think it's basically the same. So, not nearly as much resistance or anything as unique as I was expecting on this path. It feels very atmospheric and built up, so you're kind of expecting something, but... And yeah, there that too. Liurnia of the Lakes. I think I'm saying that right. Liurnia. Basically, I've entered into a new region at that point. So, but, you know, at this point, I'm still on the path. There I go. I'm like, wait, am I headed into this region at this point? And I can see the map fragment location, so I mark it just so I know where it is. And then walk up to the edge here. And at first the fog starts clearing, but I don't fully realize what's happening there. So I think I turn around for a second. And then as I turn back, I'm like, whoa, hang on a minute. And this part really made me wish that I had been capturing my commentary while recording this, because we've seen this view in promotional stuff, but goddamn, when you see it for the first time yourself, especially in a scenario like mine where I wasn't expecting it, it was interesting. I mean, interesting's not a good enough word for it, but pretty incredible. So I found this passage, and already at this point I'm like, what am I doing here? Am I going to continue? Am I not? Curiosity gets the better of me. I think I leave it for now because I'm like, I don't want to overdo this area. So, but right near that, there's a site of grace, and you can see that there's a church over there too. Through the course of this gameplay, I've found a lot of churches, most of them having sacred tears to boost the healing efficacy of my Crimson Flask. So by the end of this play session, this was over a couple of days, by the way, it's not just one session, but by the end of this, Flask is pretty beefy. A couple of people died here. I was like, is there an enemy? But it's just this guy. I think people were attacking him and pissing him off.
Aren't you? Then
anyway, here he is.
Perhaps you could spare some runes. Believe it or not, I studied glintstone sorceries at the Academy of Reya Lucaria. For a small donation, I'd be happy to share my knowledge. Well, bless you, bless you. You're a true saint. My name is Tobes. Presuming you're interested, I can teach you sorceries, as promised. Only, none of them are particularly great.
His utter lack of confidence is pretty endearing. Yeah, so he sells like 3 basic sorceries.
I'm afraid my meager sorceries are no match for your generosity. Oh, right. I can tell you what I know about this place. That should help a bit. You've seen that structure to the north, towering over the water. That's the Academy of Reya Lucaria, where we study glintstone sorceries. Only its doors have been closed for quite some time now. After they declared they wouldn't interfere with the shattering, the Academy cast repelling seals on the east gate leading to the capital, and the south gate leading here. As you might have guessed, the seals are still active, making entry to the Academy impossible without a glintstone key. And so I'm stuck here. A fledgling sorcerer with little chance of acquiring a key. When they cast the seals, I'd just popped out. And now I'm uprooted from my place of learning.
So I think here...
Why not find yourself a glintstone key? Without one, you can't pass through the Academy, and you'll never reach the Erdtree capital. And if you find an extra glintstone key, perhaps, once you've tied up all your loose ends, and I can be very patient, would you consider donating it to me? I know it. I'm a bluntstone. Nary a hint of talent for sorcery. But still, my place is at the Academy.
So here I
You've
mentioned...
taken an apprenticeship with Selen.
Yeah, the girl...
Well, that is something. Selen was well known. The most promising sorceress in the history of the Academy. I followed her at school. But there may as well have been an ocean between us. But Selen was expelled from the Academy, accused of unthinkable treatment of certain sorcerers, under the name of the Graven Witch. I still don't believe the accusations. The illustrious Selen would never do such things. Find yourself a glint without one, and you'll never...
So yeah, that was the woman that we met, the sorceress in the Waypoint Ruins, the basement. And there's our sacred tier. So yeah, I do end up going into this little section of Stormville Castle. Like I said, I was really trepidatious about going in here. I wasn't sure what to expect as far as, like, is this a secret entrance besides the main one, which was obviously going past where we fought Margit. But it turns out not to be, but you'll see that. There's that extra item there, something grape, I think. And then this guy. Pick my grapes? Yeah, I don't get it. I don't really know what's going on here. This guy. So yeah, I looked around a little bit. There's really, as far as I remember, there's like nothing else here. I feel like there's a reason I didn't fast forward through this segment, but I can't remember what it was. But yeah, I went up the ladder, and then again, another big empty room. This whole thing just screams like, this will be significant later, you know? Of course, you got the illusory wall trolls. I still don't even know if there actually are illusory walls in this game. So, they could all be trolls, every message, but who knows. So this was interesting up here, though. As soon as I cross, I think, this archway, yep, see that icon appeared on the left side of my screen. And I almost thought, am I going into Roundtable Hold somehow? Because that only appears there, basically means you can't attack. I wasn't able to switch weapons or swing my sword or anything like that. Somebody died there, though. Did I step on that? Oh yeah, they might have had a weapon out that drains health or something like that. Who knows? But anyway, yeah, big empty throne there. Can't use weapons or attack here. And yeah, this room is empty. There is a door there, but it wasn't accessible, I don't think. I think this is why I didn't fast forward through this part, because it seems very significant, but as of yet, something I can't do anything with. I think this is another troll. No. Just like have to sort of check anyway. So yeah, at this point, I pretty much resolved that there wasn't anything here, so at least at the moment, and headed back out. Oh yeah, returning to that site of grace, we have a familiar face if you watched the last couple episodes.
Good to see you, Master. Do you remember me? Bok, the demi-human. You helped me before and retrieved my sewing needle. Please, Master, allow me to serve you as your seamster. I can't make nothing from scratch, but I'm happy to make adjustments to your garments. Master, I was wondering, do you ever make adjustments to your garb yourself? I would, well, rather you let me do the job when possible, please. I don't ask anything in return, you know, and, well, I am your personal seamster after all.
So I don't know if he's going to show up, like, at just this site of grace or what,
Please
but...
do be
Anyway, yeah, I just left him to that.
the scene ready to make.
I'd like to use him if I can, but
Please do be
I don't know how that's going to function, if he's just always here or what. I guess we'll find out later. I didn't really investigate. So again, I was still questioning, do I search areas nearby? There was this couple graveyards nearby that I did end up clearing. I actually picked up, I picked up the scythe off that one guy that looked like a really good weapon that I'd like to try out at some point. Mostly just ended up fighting skeletons. There was another graveyard with a couple skeletons, fought that. And I think I get a book for sorcery stuff from behind these guys. Again, these are right, the two graveyards pretty much right near the church, on either side of the road leading down into the next region, Liurnia, or whatever it was. I'm just letting this thing play out, so I'm going almost entirely off memory. I did roll into that section, though. I was kind of like, maybe I'll get the map fragment, or whatever, because it's like, oh, it's right there. Talk about a gorgeous view, though. This whole entrance to this region is just incredible. I mean, I can't wait to explore this. I did control myself to some degree. I basically end up getting the map fragment and getting out. In order to get into the region, did have to go through this little forward operating base they have set up here. Obviously, these soldiers are in slightly different uniforms, so I think they're representing this new region. They're obviously a little tougher, too. He survived that backstab. And yeah, I got some of their gear off of them. And yeah, from here, pretty much just cleared this, this outpost. Just taking these guys out. That guy used an item, I forget what it is in this game, and honestly I forget what it was called in Dark Souls, but it basically prevents you from healing. A thrown item used in PvP a lot, but obviously it's back in this game. That's the guy that proved that to me. And yeah, I think I picked up a sorcery book there. Just took another look around here before continuing down to the site of grace that's right down there. And then there's another merchant there as well, right by the site of grace. I've been happy when I've been finding the site of grace with a merchant right next to it. It's really convenient, obviously. So yeah, of course, went over and talked to him, checked out his inventory to see what he has.
You're new around here. Surprised you found me in my little nook. No matter, no matter. Your money's as good as anyone else's. Why don't you take a look at my wares? Oh, but don't ask me how I got my hands on them, eh?
Delightfully shady. Yeah, so he had that cookbook in his inventory. I'm pretty sure I grabbed that at some point. Maybe went back to him. I don't know. I might not have grabbed it, but yeah. Nothing really majorly noteworthy other than that. This is just me pretty much going to get that map fragment to grab that so I can see the region on the map and then just get out. These enemies are new, obviously. They look like kings or something that are obviously fallen because they're all wearing like crowns, but that one made a really dumb move just jumping clean over me. They don't seem too bad to fight. I feel like I saw some gameplay of some people getting messed up by them, though, riding their horse through here. So they might be designed for that, to just throw a wrench in that. So the map fragment's pretty much right there. There was 3 of them surrounding it. Obviously, I did the old lure them out one by one thing. Got that first one, second one. And then by the time the second one was dead, the third one was there. And they all went down. And I grabbed the map fragment. And I think we take a look at the map here. Yeah. And at this point I was just like, oh wow, that's, yeah, no, like I have full access to going up north, it appears, and I don't want to do that until I complete Stormville Castle. So, yeah, retreated out of there, and from there I think I did some NPC stuff, and this was like what I did at the end of my play session for this first day. Found this guy who we found talking about this castle before.
You, is it? I suppose you must have seen it by now, yes. The sorry state of my foot. Oh, indeed, it is a foul fate for a land to be without a ruler. One must be found, with haste, and not that awful Godric, but a true and stalwart lord of the proper lineage to take the reins of Limgrave. I'm sorry to have lifted you, but I haven't the authority to raise you to knighthood as things stand. The great Kenneth Height issues his sincerest apology. But now, I must begin my search post-haste for a true and stalwart lord of the proper lineage to take the reins of Limgrave.
So that's his search, but I assume we're going to need to find that person. And as far as I know, I haven't yet. Like I said, I was doing NPC stuff, so I came back here to Stormhill, and what's-her-name was gone. She did leave that golden seed, so I can get another charge out of my flask. But I found her back here at Round Table Hall.
Nice to see you again. My name is Roderica. I should have told you sooner. Isn't this place impressive, though? The Round Table Hold, covert quarters of the Two Fingers, and gathering place of champions who vie to become Elden Lord. I never knew the guidance bestowed upon us Tarnished had such fantastic roots, although it's all a bit much for me, in truth. I'm still looking for my own purpose. It's all a bit much for me, and I'm still looking for my...
So yeah, I talked to her. And then I talked to this guy again, I think. Oh, maybe not. Alright, well, I talked to her, and then I talked to the blacksmith, and there actually begins to be a weird, almost like Beauty and the Beast type situation happening here.
Well, I took you for no matter, it's lay out your arms.
Yeah, ask her about Roderica.
Girly boy here. She's crestfallen and can scarcely swing a blade. But she has a gift for spirit tuning. I saw another one like her long ago. Their eyes share the same hue.
So, yeah, I go back and forth a few times. Talk to her, talk to him, talk to her, talk to him.
It's all a bit much for me.
Okay, so she didn't have anything... Oh, no, I have to tell her. Never mind.
Telling me I possess some kind of gift. I don't believe you. But if I do have this talent, and goodness knows it would be my first, I suppose I should try to hone it, shouldn't I? I'll ask Master Hugh to teach me. Certainly he does appear intimidating and holds no love for us Tarnished. But I know he's trapped here at the Round Table Hold, so I can tell. He's a gentle soul underneath it all. If I do have a talent for spirit tuning, and goodness knows that will, I suppose I should try to hone it, shouldn't I? I'll ask Master Hugh to teach me.
The girl. Are you out of your mind? Who'd stay with an ugly brute who only knows how to smith? Absurd. Besides, she'd never agree to it. I refuse to believe it. I don't doubt you, but I know when something's too good to be true.
Neither of them believe me. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, I think I had to reload the area after this or something. Well, I talked to this guy first, after talking to the Beast Master
Then,
guy.
owing to our duties shared, we are now comrades in arms. I think you've earned this. The power of the Golden Order to aid the hunt of those who live in death.
Yeah, so now he'll sell me some miracles or whatever they're called in this game again. Again, I haven't really messed with magic or miracles or faith yet.
Golden Order,
Interfaith.
that I might put this crooked land to rights, following only the guidance of the great Elden Ring. Those who live in death fall outside the principles of the Golden Order. Their mere existence sullies the guidance of gold, tainting its truth. And so it is the vermin must be exterminated, down to the very last.
Yeah, now I reloaded the area. Now she's over here, and she
Good to see you
upgrades
again.
your ashes now.
Thank you very much. I have you to thank, don't I? For persuading Master Hugh. I can happily announce that he has taught me the noble toil of spirit tuning. I'm as yet unsure of what I might be able to accomplish, but if I might be able to help you all, I'd certainly like to try. And if there's any chance to ease the suffering of my dear men who were grafted, well, I certainly must try. Roderica, the Spirit Tune Apprentice. Pleased to make your acquaintance.
So yeah, we use those glowworts that we've been finding in the tombs to upgrade the ashes that we have. Which is awesome that that's actually a feature, because I was starting to feel like, man, these things could hit harder. Use something else to upgrade the named ones, though. I can't remember what it is. I don't remember if I switched tabs.
I spoke with the girl. She has a gift for spirit tuning. So I told her everything I know. I'm indebted to a spirit tuner I met long ago. It was all I could do to honor her. I'm sorry I doubted you.
So yeah, big back and forth between the two of them to get to this point, but I feel like it was worth it.
Are you here for spirit?
So this is the beginning of my second day playing, I'm pretty sure. And where I am right now is on top of the Storm Gate. I went down from that Storm Hill Shack point south and found my way to the Storm Gate again, but from the upper side. There was also this. The Storm Hill Evergoal, I think it's how they're pronounced, Evergal. And there was a boss in here, much like the one we fought with Blade, or I can't remember the guy's name that we fought, but yeah, I was a little scared about doing this one solo, well, because I just imagined it was going to be tough, and boy, was I right. This guy, I almost want to say is harder than Merkwater, I feel like. I shit you not, I fought him for over an hour. That was my first attempt right there, didn't even touch him. I mean, that's largely because you have to learn his stuff. I'm not gonna skip this, but I am gonna fast forward through it at like 18 times speed, so you can see what the hell I was dealing with. I mean, even at 60 FPS, it's probably gonna look like a slideshow. But I spent so much time learning his moveset and everything, even in phase 1, which I didn't realize he was gonna have a phase 2. And he's one of those bosses where it's like, you have a phase 2? You don't need a phase 2. Why do you have a phase 2? But he has a phase 2. So, he hits really hard. He has that shield, so he's like a tank too. He has very few good openings, really, and he makes you really work for those openings. I was dying a lot early on because I was dodging away from him just trying to get some space. You saw him go into his phase 2 for the first time there, but I'll explain that. I found that dodging into his attacks, dodging in towards him, all that worked much better than trying to get distance and trying to get away from him. Just dodge into him, dodge towards him. But also you're going to have to get the timing. He really makes you, like I say, he makes you work for every opening that he does give you, which are very few. When he enters into his stage 2 at, I think, like 60% health, maybe, he gains these faith-based abilities where he basically grows extra appendages. He grows wings, he grows a tail. And the wings don't impact things too much. It gives him a attack at a distance where he can fly up into the air and then zip over to you, but it's really easy to dodge that one. What's really annoying is the shit he does with his tail. So, FromSoft knew exactly what they were doing with this friggin' tail thing, because, like, you spend phase 1 learning the openings you have, and several of those openings are now negated by this tail. You'll, see him do a swing, and you'll dodge in towards him, and you'll end up kind of, like, sort of behind him. And it's no longer a good opening because now he swings his tail at you immediately following that. And man, I tell you, I tried everything with this guy. You can see here I started stripping armor to get light dodges and fast rolls. See if that helped. I was going through all my armor, changing stuff around, changing tactics, everything. And honestly, there was a few times where I was like, I should just give up on this guy. Like, I'll come back to him later, but I just couldn't. It was like one of those things where you're just like, no, I can get this. I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it until I get it. And eventually I did end up getting it. And you can tell in my last fight with him, which is coming up very shortly. I haven't counted how many times I died, but I know I fought him for over an hour. In my final fight with him, you can see that, like, I really had to know all his strings. So this is pretty much it. This is my last fight with him. This is the one where I do beat him. So walking through it, I mean, he's got that thrust, which advances pretty quickly. He's got swipes. Again, he gets that shield up. You're doing almost no damage to him. Even when you do hit him, he's got heavy armor on. I mean, you're not doing a ton of damage when you do get through and get those openings. That move was a pain in the ass when he charges with the shield like that. The timing's a little awkward, but yeah, again, I found dodging into it was much better than trying to dodge away, because he always manages to catch up with you when you try to dodge away from that shield attack. God, I hate that. And yeah, he's got a couple of strings. That was 2 swipes there. He had, I think he did it once already. He's got a move where he like stomps the ground and like a cone-shaped AoE kind of goes out in front of him on the ground. Yep, that one right there. You can dodge that as I just did, but the timing's a little tight on that. And oftentimes he'll follow up that ground stomp if you're close to him with a combo right here. So 1 swing down and then 2 horizontal swings. My positioning there got me in trouble, so I got hit by that one. He just went to phase 2. Usually he opens up with that right away, that flying thing, but it took him a little longer this time to do it. It almost threw me off. He doesn't seem fast either. I mean, that move gives him a little mobility, the wing one, and there's the tail messing everything up, and I'm just barely alive there. And honestly, see, I'm trying to get space from him to heal, but like, he seems not fast, but he's got some moves that just advance him so hard, like that thrust, and then that horizontal advancing swing, and he'll chain those. I mean, you saw it as I was trying to run away. He just chained those, and he was like gaining on me as I was running from him, not just dodging backwards. I was running away. But as you can see, like right there, normally I would have had a good opening there, but he almost completely screwed it up with the tail sweep. Which, like, yeah, maybe getting behind him isn't a good idea now, but I still feel like dodging towards him was the most effective thing. So I was still doing that, and half the time I dodge towards him, I end up on his side or at his back. So yeah, like right there, it just triggers that tail swipe. And again, here, stomp with the 2 swings. Normally, big opening after that. Sometimes he did the tail thing there, too. He also had a standalone tail move that has some of the most absurd range I have ever seen. I think he does it once here when he's on really low health, and you'll see it hits me from almost all the way across here, like almost all the way across the map. It's ridiculous. He's overall just ridiculous. And I heard later in the game you get to fight 2 of them, so I'm really looking forward to that. Just really, I keep saying it, but he really makes you work for every opening that you can find with him. I think he does the tail thing here. Yeah, 1, boom! Do you see that? Like, that's so ridiculous, that range. Oh my god, this guy. You do get that move, I'm pretty sure, for beating him, though. That tail swipe move. But again, it's faith-focused, so... They really did a lot in Elden Ring for people that like to run Faith, and, I mean, they've always had a good amount of miracles and, spells for int builds, but... And there he goes down. But yeah, I feel like they really expanded things, in Elden Ring for the int and Faith builds, weapon-wise, too. A lot of Faith and int scaling weapons. So this was, I forget where this was, I think I went back to a ruin, but I got a nice surprise here. And I just stood there like an idiot, like what's happening exactly here? So this is basically our mimics now, I guess? And I got transported to Cilia Crystal Cave. And this place sucks. This place really sucks. I think I left very limited footage of combat inside here in this, but these guys are pretty similar to... the other guys in that other cave, the Limgrave tunnels, I think it was, who had, you know, stone skin, basically. But worse than them are those bug guys, and this was the first time I was fighting one, and I got really lucky with them, actually, because later on they wrecked me. They have that move where they send out projectiles, and they'll just home in on you, oftentimes hit you from the side like that. And they do a shit ton of damage. I mean, one will not do a shit ton of damage, but, like, he sends out a lot of them, and oftentimes if one hits you, multiple are going to hit you. And on top of that, they like to run around really quick or scurry around and hit you with that halberd that they have. I think I got their halberd, too. But anyway, you're supposed to leave this area, but I ended up going to the boss without realizing it. I mean, I knew this was the boss, but I went in the direction of the boss without realizing it, is what I mean. And, I just want you guys to see what happened here. This thing is, clearly not meant to be fought at this point. And it makes that very clear by smashing me into a corner. And then I try to get some distance, and it sweeps all the way around. And, yeah, I think I tried to heal up there. Forget what I used. I think I used the Wondrous Physic. But yeah, anyway. A grab and I'm dead. And I got the chance to do basically nothing to it. I think I fought it a couple more times after that, but it's just, you're not supposed to at this point. You'll see where this is on the map. It's way over to the east in that region that I was like, starts with a C. It's like Cilia. No, that's the cave. I forget what it's called. But anyway, it's way over to the east. And we're not really supposed to be there yet. Yeah. So that boss was a little over my head. It's just, man, it just crushes you. It's so aggressive. I was doing almost no damage to it because it's all stone and stuff, but... Yeah, so I ended up going back down south to that southern landmass in Limgrave and exploring a little more. Found this one, Earthbore Cave. Not a whole lot happened here. Kind of funny that bore's in the name because it was kind of boring. There's a very clear trap here that the floor is going to give out, and I was like, oh, I can take care of that. Like an idiot. I ended up falling in, even though I knew the trap was there, and I was trying to, in a sense, disable it or see how much of the floor would fall out. Luckily, the rats were weird about aggroing on me. They, like, didn't really. I think they're supposed to aggro on you immediately as soon as you hit the ground, so you get swarmed, but, like, they barely reacted to me when I first came down here. Anyway, the boss of the cave, too, was just, yet again, I'll kind of skip through this because it's just another enemy that you'd find out in the world, is what I'm trying to say. So we've already fought a bunch of these by now, so it was kind of anticlimactic. I mean, they still, don't get me wrong, they still hit like a truck, they're fast, super aggressive, some of the worst enemies to fight in the game, but it's just, you know, one of them on its own, and that's the boss for this little dungeon here. So I have a feeling we're going to be seeing that a lot of like tougher basic enemies that are bosses in early dungeons. Just a little anticlimactic when you fight them out in the world first and then find them as a boss. So anyway, what's next here? So obviously we end up leaving this cave. Oh yeah, found this ruin pretty much right nearby where we had this giant demi-human mage that we had to fight. Seemed kind of glass cannon-like, does decent damage to you. I feel like we were leveling pretty well at this point too, where stuff was starting to just kind of fall in front of us. So yeah, this guy went down without too much trouble. He's kind of awkward, big and awkward, where you can get underneath him and he can't really seem to do much to you. Got that visceral, quote-unquote, to him. And yet again, he drops some good stuff for people that are running mage builds. And this was the loot in this area. I think it's a shield. Yeah. Not a lot to note on that shield. I'm pretty sure it had shield bash on it, but other than that, not much. I think this was also somewhat nearby, but maybe a little bit extracted from where we just were fighting that mage. Yeah, for some reason there's that NPC outside this church, but outside of his presence, it seems pretty normal. There might be a small side quest or something here that I'm not aware of, but anyway, I mean, I primarily just talked to him, got the Sight of Grace, and then pretty much immediately went and grabbed the Sacred Tear. And then I think out in the graveyard there was also another shield. I think it's it's a small round shield. Not a lot to note. I think it had decent holy resistance on it, holy defense. So here we're pushing towards the Erd Tree in the middle of the map on, again, that southern landmass in Limgrave. Found another statue, pointed to this dungeon here. It's pretty much almost right underneath the Erd Tree. I feel like you barely really needed that statue to point you towards it. It was pretty... it was kind of in shadow, but... Tombsword Catacombs. You can see there's kind of a fog wall down there. There was a stone sword key thing there, but other than that, nothing of note in this thing, in this tomb. It was mainly just skeletal enemies, and that was it. Boss was interesting, though. This guy, I feel like he died a little too easy, but I think he's meant to be sort of a glass cannon. He takes a lot of damage, but he deals a lot of damage because of that blood loss. He builds that up super fast. And I kind of got lucky here. I summoned... I don't know why I had them equipped, but I summoned them as soon as he stuck me in place, and they distracted him. He could have very easily killed me while I was frozen like that, I think. So... But also, you see how much damage he took from that backstab. He kind of, like, you know, drops like a sack of potatoes here. Really easy. I think he's like hyper glass cannon. He has a few things that could kill you really easy, but he also dies easy. So, but we got a crazy summon from him. It was our first... I think that was our first named summon. Yeah. So I can't afford to summon it yet, though. I'm thinking about putting more stats into Mind now so that I can use some of those cool summons. Anyway, we continued up, and now we're at the Erd Tree. And there was a boss there to fight. Not too bad. He did kill me a few times. You kind of almost have to fight him mounted. Hits pretty hard. Like you see there, took out half my health and knocked me off the horse just by hitting me once. The tracking, like, almost it's gonna get you if you're circling him on the horse like I was. I could have found better approaches here, but I kind of just did circle and swing, you know, just, and see, it kind of just screwed me up a few times, but overall his melee isn't the worst. It's mainly his faith-based stuff. Yeah, I was just getting tenderized at this point. Yeah, see, the faith AoE is bad, but the worst thing is when he does moves like that, where, see those projectiles that spawn afterwards. Luckily, I think I was behind him, so most of them didn't hit me there. But usually you want to be on your horse, which I bring Torrent back from death here. And at that point, it's like you're just kind of... I'm doing the same crap here. Probably could have found better strategies, but for that, yeah, you just want to keep moving perpendicular to him quickly so that you don't get caught by those. It's kind of like, if you get hit by one, you're most likely going to stagger, and then the other ones are probably going to hit you, and I know he was able to take me out with that a couple of times, where it was like, if, you know, more than a few of those hit me, I was dead. I think I get lucky here, though. Yeah, I like, jumped off that rock and kind of air stalled for a minute and got hit by a couple, but fell out of it because I was in the air. And yeah, just kept spanking his butt until taking him out. Enemy felled. And we got a couple new things for the Flask of Wondrous Physic. So next, as I found myself riding around, I kept hearing this bell. So I kind of went up to this high point to see if I could see where it was coming from, and lo and behold, it was that giant turtle-like thing with the bell on its underside and the mausoleum, I guess, on its back. I think that guy showed up in promo footage, but nevertheless, still impressive when you see it for yourself. Had that big tower over there in the distance. I think I spent the next little while just sort of exploring this big open area. So this was me going to the top of that tower. Just rode past the guys to take out this guy on the ballista, and then opened this chest, and again tried to get me that time, but I panic rolled away as fast as I could. So obviously it's possible to avoid getting caught by those. I don't know if that would have sent me to the same place or not, but I didn't stick around to find out. This really gave me like Shadow of the Colossus, just vibes like that. It just really felt like, I mean, the giant thing in the background, big open field, on a horse. It was almost eerie. Oh, so was that pop-in that we just saw right there. All the grass popped in all at once. So yeah, then there was these guys. Basically just more of the regular soldiers, but they're headless, obviously, and they got that glow to them. Other than that, though, I didn't notice any difference on them. I'm pretty sure I dismount and fight these guys straight on, and it's like the same thing. I think one of them drops an armor piece that's slightly different, though, and emphasis on slightly. I think it's Mausoleum or something like that is the set. And we got another Church of Merkwater. I was a little paranoid because those guys were guarding the church on the outside. I thought, why then wouldn't there be guys on the inside guarding? But nope. Just the Site of Grace and another Sacred Tear. So pop the Site of Grace and then grab the Sacred Tear. Like I say, the Crimson Flask is getting pretty potent now. So this was out back of that church. If you go out the back way and then down the mountain, it's on like the left side of where I was just facing. So I ran into this big poison area, and then these like almost like automaton type enemies who I didn't get a really good feel for. I just noticed one main thing that's like once you hit them, a lot of times they go into like just a quick berserk state where they just like flail wildly, or even the one with the bow will like fire around wildly. Yeah, this guy right here. Kind of a pain to deal with, but luckily there weren't many of them. I haven't seen these guys anywhere else yet so far either, just in this one spot. Obviously that whole area is poisoned too, so that was fun to deal with. The only other enemy was this big sphere with a bunch of faces on it that I honestly, I don't know what his deal is. He shoots off those almost like magic mortars up and in the air. I didn't get hit by them, but by the fact that he doesn't do much else and it seems pretty vulnerable, I'd imagine they probably do a lot of damage, because otherwise he just seems like a pointless enemy. Oh, yeah, and then I found, I think, the same sorceress that I met at the Waypoint Ruins in the basement. And she's all, like, chained up, clearly being tortured by those guys, but if you speak to her, she, like, doesn't even... She, like, thinks you're either one of them or doesn't even realize you're there. There we go.
It will do no good, I swear it. And yet you persist. You frothing degenerates!
So yeah, she's clearly not having a good day. And I'm pretty sure you speak to her again, and she just gives you more of the same. I didn't see anything I could do for her. Going to the far west side of that field, I found this isolated merchant in this shack here. And this guy was the shit. Like, his inventory, I was so happy to see the stuff he had in stock. Isolated merchant shack, yes, it's the isolated merchant. It's got a weird polygonal face.
Since I've seen a customer, how can I help here at the end of the earth?
So yeah, he had the Zweihander, which is an ultra great sword. He had sword keys, the branches that function sort of like the Ring of Sacrifice. Bunch of good stuff. Grabbed some of it. So here was another Evergoal or Evergowl, however you say them. This one actually required a sword key to activate it. I was a little nervous about doing this one because I think the one I did before this was the Crucible Knight, who, as you know, I spent like over an hour fighting and was a pain in the ass. This enemy, though, was not nearly as bad. I think I beat him on my second or third try. And like, you know, it was one of those enemies where I didn't even really learn his moveset all that much. I kind of just brute forced him. Seemed like he had a pretty straightforward, you know, like roguelike moveset, where he's doing a bunch of flips and spins and he's just agile. And his main, you know, thing was that he has Frostbite. Yeah, so he has an AoE like that. Got a couple of AoEs. Then he's got like a cone-shaped one that goes out in front of him too. And then I think like halfway through he enters a pseudo phase 2. Honestly, again, like I said, I didn't really learn his moveset. I kind of just brute forced him. So I didn't really notice much of a difference in his phase 2, other than he just kind of like enchants his weapon with Frostbite, so now his melee attacks inflict Frostbite on top of his like AoEs and projectile attacks or whatever else he was using. That said, I've heard some people say that both Bleed and Frostbite are kind of OP. Here it goes, yeah. Like, same deal as the Crucible Knight, like 60% or so goes phase 2. And yeah, maybe got a few new moves. That looks like... Yeah, I don't think he did that in phase 1. It's like the Cyclone, but, you know, it might have added a little bit to the challenge if those Cyclones lasted a little bit longer. And started to become like an obstacle in the arena, but not really. Not a whole lot, I feel like, changed in phase 2. finally got me with the frostbite, but it was a little bit late at that point, and he went down. I didn't show any of my like first or second attempt because I didn't think it added anything to this, but yeah, that was the attempt where I beat him. So then this was right nearby that boss fight. Actually, it was just another set of ruins. There's actually there's a couple of warning messages on the way down about enemies, and they were some human enemies. These guys. He got me with a little combo there, actually. Didn't feel like fighting him in the staircase, obviously, so I pulled him out here. So yeah, he's got the rapier, too. He's got the rapier and the crossbow. I think it's a rapier. At least he uses it like a rapier. A lot of thrusting attacks. Yeah, looks like a rapier. Yet another, like, unique enemy type that I haven't seen anywhere else, except in this one friggin' hole in the ground. So yeah, killed him. He seemed like humanoid enough where my brain kind of went, yeah, there'll only be one of those. But then I got down here and I got ambushed almost immediately by another one. I'm a little surprised the other one came out and went up the stairs. I would think these two guys would try to fight you at once down here, like they would let you get into the room. Sent him flying with the upward slash. A lot of people dying down here, too. I just realized how many bloodstains there are. I think that was what was intended. They're supposed to fight you at the same time down here, but didn't happen that way for me, obviously. Can't remember what was in this chest. Was it the scythe? Oh, there's a message in the chest, which was hilarious. Yeah, okay, so the winged scythe. I think I had to upvote that message. I don't know if I... Yeah, I left it. I left it in the edit. Because that was just clever. I opened up the chest and there was a message inside. Yeah, yet again, that winged scythe scales with faith, I'm pretty sure. So, a lot of faith weapons and abilities, like I was saying. This is the Ailing Village. This is, like, east of the Erd Tree. This was weird. These guys all have some sort of, like, fire, almost like possession happening with them. They're all contorted and stuff. The whole village is like that. So I cleared the village out, and then found the church at, like, the summit of the village. And there were these rats that have the same thing going on. Their eyes are glowing red, and I think they always do a little bit of fire damage or something like that. When I fight the big one back there, it starts building up a status effect that I'm not familiar with what it was. I don't know if it's the new symbol for, like, the burning status effect, or if it's something else. Well, there it is. It popped up right there, too. So I'm going to have to look up that image and see, or look up that symbol and see exactly what that is. And I didn't notice what attack actually started it building. I think it's just, yeah, it's just their bites or their melee attacks. I don't think it ever filled up completely, so I don't exactly know what its effect is. If it's burning, then it's just like, you know, previously you'd catch fire at that point, and then you'd have, like, damage over time happening to you, but killed him before it built up completely. What was in here? Oh yeah, I mean, it's not pyromancy anymore. I think all the pyromancy, I think, is under, like, faith now. They're basically all miracles. They changed the word for miracles, but they're miracles, they're souls, it's sorcery. I'm not, you know, we're not adapting. We don't like change. So yeah, and another sacred tier. I don't know if I said that already, but yeah, another sacred tier there. So this is at the north part of Agheel Lake. I came back here because there was a river that I remembered looking down and seeing the guys hanging from the underside of the bridge and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go check that out. Just in line with me exploring all this stuff. Fast forwarding through this because it was kind of a tedious process of, like, you know, these guys, you can lock onto them, so I was like, okay, so as soon as I get under them, they're going to drop down and be a pain in my ass, so I'll just pick them off one by one, do it the easy way. And yeah, I think I came back here at another point, and I just ran through, and it was exactly what I figured it was, where they started dropping down as soon as I got through, and they tried to all take me on at once. Got a bigger one there that didn't seem to have much more health than the regular ones, but he did have a shield and a bigger sword. I still don't have a holy weapon. I gotta see see about doing something about that, so I don't have to keep whacking the dead skeletons. And then here, we started getting some messages about a, major enemy ahead or whatever. I got a little nervous. I remember thinking like, oh shit, is it another dragon or something like that? But it doesn't end up being another dragon. Although I would argue that what it is might be... And then I saw all the bloodstains. I was like, okay, here we go. What it is might be a little worse. That guy's fighting right now. It might be a little worse than a dragon, honestly. He's got some dangerous stuff going on. So, as you can see there, it's an NPC invasion. He didn't seem bad at all at first, but then he started doing some blood magic stuff, or blood Ash of War stuff, that were like projectiles. And even as I blocked them, the buildup was so fast on the bleeding. And yeah, as you can see, that blood loss, like I was saying, frostbite and blood loss seem to be kind of a little OP both when it comes, one respective to stamina damage and one respective to health. Yura shows up here and totally threw off my groove. I ended up dying here because I didn't know at first if he was on my side or not, or if I was fighting both of them at once. So I was kind of trying to keep my eye on him to see what he did, and by the time I saw he was clearly fighting with me, I had already been killed by that guy. So I came back to take him on again. Now I know Yura's going to come in and be on my side. He took a sweet time coming in this time, though, so I had to fight him on my own for a bit. I think I got him down pretty low, and then he healed, so he had, I think, just the one Crimson flask, charge of Crimson Flask. Yeah, finally Yura shows up. Who, if you don't remember, is the guy that originally told us about the dragon, and then I went back and talked to in between episodes that one time when I had the clip saved and told me about the dragon communion and all that stuff. But apparently he also doesn't like these bloody finger guys, and he's looking to get rid of as many of them as he can. Really took his time getting over here, man. Where is he? There he is. Finally shows up. Kind of just like, at that point, was like, alright, give me a minute to breathe here. Was able to get the backstab because he focused on him. Then he changes his focus to me, and Yura can just beat on him, and the, NPC invaders aren't very good with dealing with two people attacking them at once. And I think, yeah, we got his dagger as well, which looks cool and has that blood effect on it too, I think. But again, it scales or has a high requirement, and it's either faith or int, something like that. So yeah, I found Merkwater Cave here too, and I didn't realize until I went back into this footage, I didn't explore it. I just grabbed the Site of Grace and then continued down the river. Saw a lot of bodies here, got a little nervous, but then saw it was Yura just taking care of business, and talked to him for a little bit after our fight together.
Ah, we meet again. To have fought Nereus and lived. You must have seen your share of battle. I am Yura, as you might recall. Hunter of bloody fingers, tarnished, held in thrall by cessblood. Zealots, who stalk their own. You stay the path. You're certain to face more of them. Just remember, no kinship with their ilk remains. Their madness precludes it. Don't let your emotions stay your blade.
So yeah, I continued down the river from there, found this upstream. You could kind of see it in the background when I was talking to Yura, so if you want an idea where I went. So see there, that took me up to this area where I found this artist shack, or painter's shack, one or the other, and there was a big painting there, and it was glowing, and I was like, oh, okay, so, and there was an interact option with it too, but I passed up on it, because I was like, is this going to be like Dark Souls, where I end up in, you know, the Painted World of Arameus or Painted World of Ariandel or whatever. So I just kind of marked it on my map and I'm saving it for later. So hopefully we'll get to that in a future episode. Same thing with Merkwater Cave. At this point, I was just finding so much stuff that I was just like, all right, it's getting to be... There's so much in this game. So then we found Merkwater Catacombs, which was just at the very end of that river area. Again, pretty standard standard dungeon area. There was that pressure plate, so there were some traps and stuff, but again, the enemies, just basic. The imps, again, same basic imps. I might have said it before, but yeah, I'm a little worried this might get a little repetitious, and hopefully as we enter new areas, the dungeons will also change a little bit. The boss was cool, though. Not difficult, but definitely cool. He had that cloak on at first. He threw that off. He was like a Spartan gladiator, or you know, just, you know, gladiator in general. And he reminds me of something from a previous game, too. Something in the From Software catalog, and I can't place it. I'm like, I feel like I've seen this guy before somewhere, or someone really similar to him, but I couldn't place it. Again, he looks cool. I can't believe that was able to send him in the air, too, by the way. He basically functions like a standard humanoid enemy, despite being, you know, twice the size. Got him down into a repose state there. Yeah, he hit kind of hard, but overall, like, he kind of just collapsed in front of me. He's got those hammers on chains. I feel like he would have been a lot more intimidating if those hammers had more range. If he could really whip those out there, it would have made him a lot more dangerous, but he was just, like, too slow to really do anything. He does pop off that grab, which was cool. Made the fight a little more cinematic as he chucks me. And he had so little health left, I'm pretty sure I just chuck a knife at him. He did go rage mode at the end, but it's like, by the time you did that, by the time you did your Warcry thing, it was already over. And we got his hammer. Next, I did go after that turtle mausoleum bell thingy, and I think I whacked at his feet a couple of times, was trying to figure out what his deal is. At the very beginning, I thought it was like, okay, I gotta like jump onto him from a cliff or something, but then I saw some messages. Yeah, I got whacked in the head a couple times by big giant rock feet. But yeah, it was basically just breaking those crystal things on his feet, which was, you know, just kind of a tedious process of riding around trying to get them. That one was too high up for me to get, but luckily I didn't have to get all of them. I just had to get enough to send them down, which wasn't that many. I think I only did like 2 feet, just about 2 feet. And then, yeah, then he sort of collapses and sinks into the ground. It was kind of cool. There's almost like an effect where the ground is sinking and being pulled inward, because I get pulled towards him here. I got a little too close. Yeah. So then, yeah, it's just a fixed structure at that point. I don't think resting makes him get back up, but it looks like whatever this is used for is not relevant to me yet. So I opened up the door, I went inside and looked to see if there's anything else in there, but there's basically just that altar, and it's something about remembrances. Yeah, again, I can't read the text right now with how I'm recording this audio, but it was something about remembrances, I think duplicating remembrances, and as far as I know, I haven't gotten any of those yet. So I zip back over to the Weeping Peninsula, and at this point, I decided, I think, that I was just going to go ahead and do Castle Morn. So I went around the left flank over there, but I cut out some of that footage because there wasn't a lot of note. There was like a crab in a swamp area, but I think there was like one Ash of War beetle rolling around, and I got that, but not really super noteworthy. I was mainly just getting to the castle through this big open field. This giant guy, they're not really a challenge at all. I ran into one before, and I couldn't find where it was in the footage. I like scoured through the footage for a while, and I I think he was near the where I fought the Crucible Knight, that Evergoal. And I think he does respawn, so I can definitely find him again. Yeah, they're really not a challenge, and just like the other one that I fought, this one too, they started with like 3/4 of their health for some reason, so I don't know what's up with that. Yeah, and I searched this whole field area, didn't really find much. I might have missed some stuff, but all I found was a couple of the, like, flowers, and then this monolith, whatever you want to call it. So from there, it's pretty much into the castle. I don't recall, I know I edited this for time, a decent amount, but this was, I spent a lot of time in this castle. It was not that big. It was just that, you know, there's multiple routes you could go, and I just kind of like tried stuff out, back and forth. There was an NPC I found that I went back and forth to see if he respawned or despawned or whatever. But yeah, so you go up the lift from there. To the left up there, there was just a little area with like one item. Over here, there was a few dogs. I have to be kind of systematic about this area. A lot of enemies, so I'm just sort of fast forwarding through it here. You can see I died there once. These guys can be dangerous in groups. They're not bad one at a time. I think I was plugging in my controller there. I like walked away to try to plug in my controller and they still got me. Came after me. So yeah, that one that just rolled down the hill there real quick. I think I slow down the video when I fight just him at the end, even though the dogs pretty much have him covered at that point. Yeah, right here. So this is just so you recognize that this guy is different, that I slowed it down. The ones that are a little bigger and have the axes are definitely more dangerous than their standard counterparts. So from the top of the bonfire, we can go over here. This is one of two paths we could take to get out of that main courtyard. In here we got that chest, and then basically nothing else. You just continue through that room until you get back outside. But I went back over, opened up that chest, and we had the claymore, which I was super excited to get. Really happy to find that finally. You know, that's the go-to weapon for a lot of strength and quality builds and Souls veterans. So we have this guy again. This is the guy, the same thing that I fought as that boss fight that one time. And I was like, yeah, this guy is just an enemy that you're going to encounter in the environment too. So I think I fast-forwarded through that. That was one of the first things in this episode that I think I showed. He was the boss, I think, at the Waypoint Ruins. And a regular enemy too. So the big guy was on the side of the like castle guards or soldiers, and the other guys are like rebelling or something. They were, I forget what the guy describes them as later, but basically like servants or something like that, but they all decided to rebel. So over here you have a ladder, and this will go up to an area that you can reach by going the other way too, where I got the claymore. So I didn't know that at the time. I just decided to go this way first to see what was over here. But if you go this way first, you eventually drop down to the spot where that ladder would have taken you up to. So this is the better way to go first if you want to make sure that you get everything. And these guys, for some reason, are not fighting yet until I get there. And then they kill that one guard. I don't know how that turned into a backstab there, but it did somehow. So that ladder right there, we just go up, zip up, and then there's another skirmish going on up here between the castle guards and whatever these things are. I don't think they're also demi-humans. I think they're something else, but I don't know the official name for them yet. So I pretty much just did not pick sides here. I just mercilessly tried to chop down everybody because everybody was going to be hostile to me anyway. So killed all of them, cleared the battlefield for items, went over here, killed this lone one that was like acting like he was chopping up a body but was actually chopping nothing. And then got the steel wire torch. Basically, if you played the DS3, I think it was in the Ashes of Ariandel DLC, it's basically that second type of torch, just like slightly different. It's got a little bit higher stats. Not that stats really matter all that much on a friggin' torch, but what I didn't realize at the time is its Ash of War, its skill is different. It's like, again, like it was in the Ashes of Ariandel, you like blow fire, breathe fire through it, as opposed to the like melee attack that you do with the standard torch, which I prefer the melee attack. So I think I found out later when I was fighting some slimes. I think I show that little clip where I use the like fire breath attack, and I'm just like, nah, and switch back to the melee one. I think it's more personal preference, though. I think the fire breath is effective for groups or whatever. I think it was working okay, but just not my thing. So right here, dropping down, right there where I'm looking at that exact moment was where the ladder comes up. You could see the top of the ladder right there. In fact, I go to look over, but I get ambushed by this guy. So didn't really get a chance to really look there. However, I run over here up these stairs, and I think I did a cut here to my second time running up just to save time. I ended up dying over there because I fell off, I think, up over there. Yeah. Yep, there's my souls, my runes. I died because of mainly camera stuff whipping around, but also those flying guys are pretty dangerous. They came after me the last time. This one instance, they went down there and joined the fight. That's a little further away over there. I've never seen them do that except for that one instance, but I didn't have to deal with them this time. So I realized I don't think I ever went back down that ladder and went fully that way to see what was over there. I did eventually come back and go that way to see what was over there, but first I went over this ledge here. There's a site of grace, so I was like, I really just want to make sure I secure that. I didn't realize at the time it's like kind of a point of no return, though. I thought maybe I could jump over that wall right there or something, but once I got down here, I was like, oh no, that's too high. So it is kind of a point of no return. I went down this way, just kept dropping down. I think you might be able to jump this gap, but I don't know if there's a point to doing it. Because you can drop down into that room there, but that room just leads to the same place you can get to the bottom floor of normally. So, stone sword key there. I think I slowed the footage down here just because I got that stone sword key, and then these guys, I used the torch and I went to do what I thought would be a bash, and it turned out to be breathing fire on them. And it's doing a good job, actually. Pretty good job of chipping through both of them, but honestly I just wanted my melee attack. It feels like it kills them a little faster anyway. So switched back to my regular torch. Going in here, there was an item and another one of those like spectral NPCs. I thought this guy might have been relevant to that guy's quest that has the castle over by the Mistwood, who's looking for a noble or something. And I don't know, I went back and talked to that guy after, and it didn't have anything to do with that, because that guy, the spectral NPC there, says something about having noble blood or something, which is exactly what that guy was looking for, but didn't seem to change anything. So here I was just dealing with these enemies around here. There's another one of those axe-wielding guys over here. And I tried to sneak up on him, but it turns out he aggroes regardless of whether you sneak or not or whatever. And then he went to attack me, and I just timed every dodge poorly here because his attacks were a little slower than I thought they would be. So it was just 3 hits in a row, 3 poorly timed dodges, and I was done. I came back to him the next time knowing he would aggro immediately, so I pretty much just bum rushed him. And tried to chop through them as quickly as I could. They got big range there too. They hit pretty hard. They got decent poise, so it's hard to get through them. They're definitely a big gap between the regular ones and these guys. And this is my first time really fighting one in earnest, because that other one at the very beginning got chewed apart by my dogs as I was fighting the other smaller ones. Yeah. Good amount of stamina damage on his bigger swings. His smaller swings don't do that much, so just turtling up and guarding seems to do a good job. The swings are slow, slightly oddly timed. Not really oddly timed, just, you know, a little slower than you might expect, so you could easily dodge them. You just have to know, you know, the timing on them and don't jump the gun and dodge too early like I did the first time. Up here there was a chest. I think it's just another talisman. Nothing else as far as I could tell up here. Yeah, the twin blade one. I haven't looked at what that does yet. I'm assuming it might raise dexterity or something. From there, dropping down to that roof. Dropping down and killed that beetle. Over here, there was, I think, just a sunflower. And then from there, it's just keep dropping down, keep going down the cliffs. Till you get to this point. Which then it's, you know, classic Souls precision platforming on support beams, or cross beams. Just dropping down. Luckily, it's only like 2 this time, so down to one, down to the other. There's that one item up there. And a couple enemies down here. And if you reach this point in the castle, you're pretty much home free, as far as, like, next thing is just the boss. Bunch of rats trying to swarm me here. Obviously, it's just... they're annoying with how they stagger lock you a little bit. It's just finding an opening to actually hit them, and then they're done. And this one random enemy. The ones around here were, like, cowering or something for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe because the boss is nearby, but... oh yeah, and then we picked up the whip. Which is, like, one weapon I have never used in Souls, is the whip. Never even tried it. Never even taken it out to see what it's like. Yeah, Site of Grace there. Obviously, I had to do my due diligence real quick and look around. But I ended up grabbing that Site of Grace, and then I think I went back to see what was in that other direction. Remember the 2 flying enemies? Yeah, at this bridge here, they flew down and joined that other fight. I opted to come back here to see what was in the direction of that other fight. And yeah, they killed me again, actually. These guys can be pretty brutal. They've got bows that they'll shoot down at you, which is not too bad, but the main thing to look out for is they've got a grab attack that will swoop down pretty quickly and chunk you for like half your health. I found that using that Ash of War, though, that ranged one like that, is really good. It knocks them right out of the sky. And I actually got one of their bows there, so I think I switched to that. So, yeah, you can drop down on either side. At first I was like, oh shit, I dropped down on the wrong side. That right there is the Site of Grace from dropping down above at the other edge. And then down there is the main courtyard where you first came in. That ladder just leads back up to where you came from, so you can go up and down that way. That little skirmish here, let's just clear this out real quick. Chop through these guys. It's so funny in fast forward. And then we went up here and we found an NPC. And if you remember the girl Arena that told us to come here in the first place, the one we found on the road, this guy up here is who she wanted us to deliver her letter to. So we go up and talk to him, and eventually we do give him the letter.
There's a face I've not seen before. I'm Edgar, warden of this castle, as ordained by Lord Godric himself. But you can see how things have turned out. The menials have all rebelled. They gave me good service, or so I thought. But it seems it was all an act. Foul creatures, as it said, and true enough, they're foul inside and out. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but whatever you come here to do, I'm afraid Castle Morn won't hold much longer. Take this, by way of apology.
I
see. From Arena. Thank you. I'm in your debt, but I can't leave yet. Even if the castle should fall, as commander, I must remain to ensure the treasured Sword of Morn does not fall into the wrong hands. If you see Irina, do tell her that her father will come for her once he's fulfilled his duty.
So he said if I see her, and I was like, oh, I'll go see her right now. I'll just zip back over to where I saw her first. And unfortunately, in true classic Souls fashion, wasn't the ideal outcome I was hoping for. So I found her and she was dead. And actually after that I zipped over to him where I originally met him, and he wasn't there anymore. I didn't go back after the boss though. I'm hoping maybe he'll be back there now or something, because it just seems like anticlimactic. Or maybe he'll be where Irina is, something like that. I'd like to check. It just seems, you know, anticlimactic to that side quest line to just find her dead and that's it. Although, I'm 90% certain it's him here that I summoned to help me with this boss fight, which, again, I don't usually do NPC summons for boss fights unless they feel like, you know, thematically appropriate, in which case I kind of just can't resist, like summoning Blade to fight the guy he was hunting. Which I didn't know was the guy who was hunting at first, but yeah, it's Edgar, right? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's Edgar.
So yeah, I summoned him to help me with this boss fight. Again, just kind of felt thematically appropriate, which I appreciate when that happens, when I get a cooperator who has a vested interest in whomever I'm fighting. You know, the epitome of which is like, you know, Sigurd against Yorm in Dark Souls 3, I would say. And you don't even summon him, actually. It's just if you completed his quest line, he shows up to fight with you, whether you want him to or not. Yeah, I forget what these messages said here, just probably tips about the boss or warnings. I feel like I kind of maybe did this boss an injustice here. I feel like I might have trivialized this fight by summoning Edgar. And then I summoned the jellyfish too, just as like a distraction. Like, he's aggressive. He seems to have a very similar moveset to some of the, what the guy was calling the menials out there. In the way he like jumps and uses his hind legs to attack and stuff. I mean, he's like pretty quick, pretty aggressive, but like not so much so that he's like overwhelming or provides too much pressure. I mean, I don't know if I can make that fair assessment because I had Edgar and the Jellyfish here, which sounds like the worst 80s band. It's like a Hootie and the Blowfish knockoff, Edgar and the Jellyfish. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. I had them both here to pull pressure off of me on top of that. And here I just kept trying to do a jump attack to get him into a repose state because I was like, oh, he's about human size. He definitely has one. Almost every enemy so far has had a repose state, so I was just spamming the jump attacks, got him into it, got his health down almost nothing. And yeah, for the final boss of like this whole southern landmass of Limgrave, it was kind of anticlimactic. Although that sword that I get is crazy. I don't think I show it off in this gameplay, but I'll show it off in the future for sure. On a future episode. It's like made of a bunch of other swords and stuff. I looked around this area, didn't find anything else. Like I said, I'd like to come back to this area though and see if Edgar shows up again, or if he shows up near Irina, so I can, you know, have some closure to that. I mean, man, come on. And then the last thing I did was I went back over... well, this is just me over at the merchant buying sword keys, because I wanted to go back over to the very, like, the second Site of Grace you ever unlock, which is before you even get out into the open world. There was that sword key podium thing right next to it, which we head back there now. I don't know why I'm looking around the southern island. Yeah, right, that one. So I head back over to that one, open that up, and I think I was pretty tired at this point. I was like, all right, I'm at the end of my play session. Let me just do one last thing. And it was going to be, I expected just like either a small area with some bonus stuff or treasure because it's near the tutorial section, or I expected like a standard dungeon. I got way more than I bargained for here. And you'll see that. I think I fast forward through some of it because I spent a long time in here. Part of it was because I was tired, so I made some dumb mistakes, I think. But it was also just because this area was kind of, not convoluted, but there was plenty of obstacles that were unique, I'll say. The first of which being that I just have to run through this friggin' poison goop just to get into the area. And I think I ate the poison damage here because I was looking around to see if there were any items, but there weren't. Got up onto this section, got rid of my poisoning, and then we get to see the thing that we get to deal with for the next, like, 45 minutes of my life. So it's like a chariot with the spiked wheels on either side, and it just runs up and down this section. And, you know, it's typical, you know, like puzzle like this where you're moving, you gotta run behind it, you find there's like an alcove or a archway on either side, and you just gotta run into it, wait for it to pass, and then go down. And that seemed pretty straightforward, but we run into some twists a little further down the line. You know, From Software is great at escalating this stuff. So I run down here, I hit the first alcove, and that enemy spawns. Again, I was tired. I thought it was, you know, like a specter of another player at first, just the way it was illuminated and stuff. So I just stood there, and, like, by the time I realized it was too late, he was already about to attack me. These guys aren't too bad, though. They, like, at first, they were, but once you figure them out, like, once they pull their sword out, they only really do, like, one thing, which is, like, a 3-hit combo, which you can then guard counter immediately and just riposte them. So they become pretty trivial. A couple variations on them show up later, but yeah, so then we get to the third alcove with the other archway on the, across from it, and yeah, they can be hit by the chariot too, so that's good. Got a guy with a crossbow across over there. Just zip over there, take him out. And my first time running down here, I was like, okay, so I recognize that, you know, behind him there's another ramp downward. And I know, I'm like, okay, so I'm going to go down, I'm going to go around the corner and then continue down that way. And what I was expecting is another chariot to be running along there. So I'm like looking for it, like, okay, where's the next one? But instead, this thing changes its position based on where you are. So either it's somehow intelligent, or there's hidden pressure plates or something, which would be entirely, you know, just made up, not actually a game mechanic. I just can't figure out why it would change its position based on your position. Maybe it's just magic. So this time I realize I'll wait for it to go to the bottom of its current route, and then start heading back up, and I will drop down here just to shave some time off, because this drop won't kill me or anything, and then make my way to the next save point, which I wasn't entirely sure where it was yet, so it was a little nerve-wracking running down there, because I was like, okay, it's coming, where's my safe zone, where's my safe spot? And then I find it right there. So I get to this safe spot, and this is where things get a little weird, a little more weird than they already got with it, you know, changing its position. So it comes all the way down, and I'm like, all right, so it's going to go from the top down to about there and turn around and come back up. And then we have that narrow section there further down. And then it stops, and it turns around there instead of going up to the top. And I'm like, okay, that is not enough time. You can tell I'm standing here trying to judge it for a little while. Like, can I make it across that, like, little narrow section in time? And get to where those two torches are on the right side is clearly the doorway. And I'm like really thinking it's not possible, or it's going to be incredibly tight. So I do the old Dark Souls get naked so I can move fast here technique. And I was like, at first I was like, okay, so I think I can at least grab that item there. But I missed the button prompt the first time, so I turn around and go back like a dummy, and I get run over. And I think I only had a few hundred runes on me, and I don't think I ever bothered to even attempt picking them up. But as you could see there, I was looking around when I died, because I was like, there's no way I can make this, and I saw that platform down below. So that's where you have to drop down to, right there. Yeah, it became pretty clear I wasn't going to make that jump, or make that run. And then I noticed down there in the fog and the darkness, there is another platform. But I also recognized that that's like a point of no return. So I was like, let me just look around up here first, because I can drop down at any time. I don't know if I can get back up. A point of no return in that sense, you know. So I think I zipped through this a little bit, fast forward, because this section right here is just pretty straightforward, like tomb stuff. Same imp enemies, same architecture, same lighting. We have another one of those flame traps where you use the bow. I was out of regular arrows. I think I tried to craft arrows there too and couldn't. So I just shot that with a flame arrow, which seemed like kind of a waste, but got to this four-way intersection. That really looked like an illusory wall. I thought I was about to find my first one, but nope. This room is big and important, but we'll come back to it. I was like, okay, this room is big and important. Let me check that other direction first. Went over there. This imp was the first one I think I've seen that was slightly different. He uses like a big, almost like a greatsword, but it's like a stick or like a pole arm or something. I think his mask is slightly different too, or his head. So I don't know if you can get that one maybe too. But yeah, anyway, that guy was unique, so I slowed the footage down there for a second just to show that off. And now we head back to this room. And this was a trip, man. I still don't know what that item is on the other side of that pathway, but there was a bunch of warning messages and stuff about a strong enemy, so I was like, okay, let's see what we got here. There was a spot where I could drop down back there too, but yet again, I was like, okay, that's a point of no return, so let me keep exploring. And I'm actually going to slow the footage down here to explain what went through my head in this short amount of time. So he drops down. I'm like, okay, that's the tutorial area guy. I know he's tough. I think I can take him at this point, but I'm not going to fight him on this narrow passageway. Let me back up. And then I heard the sound of another one dropping down. And it took a second for that to register, but then I whipped the camera around. Well, I locked onto him first, but then I whipped the camera around. And there he is, there's another one, and I kind of just dodge out of the way just in time there, and I'm like, okay, can I get past him? And I think I just barely juked past him, and I had to make the very quick decision of, okay, do I try and fight two of these fuckers at once over here or not? And I was just like, no, you know what, screw it, and I dropped down. I think I slowed that down to like a quarter of normal speed or something, but luckily they didn't drop down either. I still don't know what that item is at the other side over there. It's probably good, assuming, you know, because you have to fight two of them. I had an idea about drawing them back to where that flame trap was, too, and trying to reactivate the flame trap and seeing if I could take them out with that or something, but I haven't come back here yet. It was, like I said, it was already late at this point, and I was kind of tired, so I just continued through. Looked around this area, wasn't anything around here. Just continued up. Found an elevator, which brought me back up to a little spot overlooking where I was before. And then we got this guy. This enemy shows up, who is a significant upgrade over the other guys. As you can see, got a lot more health, got a lot more poise. He's got a few, like, Ash of War type moves he can use, that jump slam being one of them. And then he's got one where he like whips the air around him in a cyclone. There's even a little cyclone effect there when he does that. I think he almost gets me here because he goes into that cyclone move, and it's just like, it's a spin to win. You know, classic Souls, like, if you haven't gotten out of the way of it, your stamina is going to go very quickly, and they're going to start chunking through you. But luckily I survived the spin to win and take him out. I think that's another sword key there, too, that I pick up. Yep. And then from there, I was a little nervous about doing this again because it was awkward coming from up here when the thing is already down on that lower level. Luckily, a good Samaritan put a message there that told me I was safe in that spot, so I dropped down, stayed there, and then just kind of, you know, same maneuvers, juked around him. And this time, I straight off just dropped down to that other platform that I initially saw that was in the dark and in the fog. A couple enemies spawned across from me as soon as I dropped down, one with a crossbow. He's shooting crap at me. This guy comes over, and I don't know what the hell happened here. I can only assume that I got clipped by the chariot when it finally decides to come down this way. Because I take this guy out, I'm pretty sure. And then it almost looks like this guy hits me with an arrow that kills me, but I block the arrow. But then I die. Like, and I'm not that far out. So, I don't know. I think I just barely got clipped by the chariot or something. But it got me nonetheless. So, I made my way back there. Same deal. Drop down again. And I don't know if the regular guys could do this before, but that guy teleports right to me. So I was never far enough away from the other guys to see if they could do that, but I don't know if it's just now, like, I've gotten deeper into the dungeon and these guys can do that, but I don't know. Regardless, that was some Super Saiyan moves that he just had there, teleporting right behind me. This guy was like waiting for the chariot to come down and hit him, but the chariot just took its sweet time and did not come anytime soon, so I just ended up killing him myself. And then waited for the chariot, and I was paranoid about getting clipped again, so I was like, I'm not going to stand over this curb here. Waited for it to go by, checked it out to see how far I had to go. It looks like... I don't think I could even see the next spot I had to go to, but it was just like, I know I gotta go down that way. So... waited for it to go back up, and then just kind of did a run on faith here. Not the stat, just the ideal. And I saw that item there, and I was like, that's a trap. Like, I think I'm going to have just enough time to make it to where I got to go. And I think I was right. I think that item's a trap for people who stop to pick it up, and they know you have just enough time to get down there. Plus, there was that group of enemies that spawned, but luckily they just got mowed down. So then from there, just waiting for it to go to the bottom at this point, and you can see now the two torches on the right side again by that opening that I gotta go into. I was worried about just barely making this run, but I think I made it with plenty of time to spare. And there's a stake of Marika right there, and the boss room too. And this boss, man, I'll tell you, this was something else. I was not expecting this at all. One of the things there said try bleeding, so I did decide to check the stats on that Bloodhound sword that I have, the curved greatsword, Bloodhound Fang. And I compared them to my current greatsword, and it was a pretty significant improvement, actually. Plus it had bleeding on top of that. So I decided to give that a try. I think I tweaked some of my other gear too, but I think I cut that out of the edit because it wasn't significant. And this thing... man, I don't think a boss has so thoroughly wiped me out and so efficiently wiped me out so quickly in a long time. That thing just charged me immediately as soon as I walked through that door and took me out in like 3 hits, maybe 4 hits. And the thing that finally killed me was that grab where he puts you in his mouth, pulls you up in the air, and just lightnings you. So that was a little... disappointing. I was like, Jesus, that thing is insanely aggressive. But I figured he's just attacking you right off when you get in. You just got to get out of the way of that first charge. It's a lot like, again, the, what's he called? Capra Demon from Dark Souls 1. It's like as soon as you enter that arena, you're getting charged by him and his dogs. But in this case, it's just one enemy. But nevertheless, really aggressive charge as soon as you get in the door. That said, once I got out of the way of that charge, he's not terrible, but he is intimidating for sure. I mean, he's big, he's mean looking, he's very Bloodborne in his aesthetic, and his moves are not very targeted. They're a lot of thrashing about, you know, big sweeps and just crawling all over the place, smashing stuff, and like... It makes him simultaneously easier and harder because his moves are less likely to connect with you deliberately, but it's also a little harder to predict what he's going to do or what he's doing or where he's going to go because his moves are so, you know, like just violent, and yeah, you can see him contorting around and spinning around and like rolling halfway over. Right there, I actually got him in a riposte state, but I got caught between his head and his hand, so I missed the riposte opportunity. I did trigger the bleed right there, but still, missing that riposte was huge. I think I would have beat him this time. This was my second time, if I had just got that riposte. But I don't end up beating him on this attempt either. I didn't want to skip any attempts, showing any attempts on this boss, though, because he was just really unique, really cool. And actually, once you get past how scary he is, a really fun fight. And yeah, he gets me here, and I'm pretty sure he kills me 3 times before I kill him, and every single one, yep, is this friggin' grab attack where he puts you in his mouth. And you saw how crazy that was. He like zipped over to the corner of the room and then just tracked me hard. I still don't know the best way to avoid that move. Like, it's most likely dodging to the side. It's a grab, so you probably can't block it. Here I die really stupid. I summon my dogs right away, which was just a dumb move, because I know he attacks you as soon as you get in the room. And there he goes again. It's like, you know, the same thing that happened to me the first time I fought him. He just charged me, like, rammed through me, and then immediately followed up with that grab. So I can't recommend enough. As soon as you get into this boss room, you gotta get out of the way. Yeah. So he didn't charge that time because I moved forward. He changed up his moveset there. Or his opening. And yeah, so this one, I mean, you can tell his attacks aren't that targeted either, because he's like not even hitting my dogs all that much. He's kind of just thrashing all around them, and he does hit them occasionally, but yeah, that breath attack he did before, I wasn't really sure how far that would reach, so I just backed way the fuck up. It's hard to even tell when he's going to do that grab attack, too. I think it's because he does that roar and it shows the shockwave effect around his mouth. I kept thinking that was the sign, and I think he does do something like that, but maybe there's a little bit of a lightning effect with it. I gotta go back and, like, study this fight almost like it's, like I'm watching a football game on a repeat, just to study, other teams. But yeah, this time he beat on me a little bit, but I think the stars aligned with, I think I get the riposte this time, and then I get the bleed pretty soon after that too, the blood loss triggering, and just good damage on him overall. Yeah, there's the riposte. Get good damage on that. And then I think a couple hits later, I got the bleed. Yep, right there, big bleed damage. He does have that big AoE, though, which wiped out my dogs and took me down. I got a little nervous here, but then he gave me that big opening with that breath attack. Took me a minute to get to him, but he does have a few openings. A few really good openings, if you recognize them. But again, he's so sporadic and violent. Sometimes it's hard. And yeah, we got another really crazy summon from him, too. One of the ones we got was like 100 FP, and then another one was 104. I can't remember which was which, but can't use either of them yet, so I gotta put some points into mind so that I can get my FP up a little at a time. Yeah, so then zipped back over to the point of grace, the spot of grace, whatever, and leveled up really good runes from that guy. I think it was 15,000. I had 0 going in, so I think I do a level up here, and I have, yeah, 15k. So yeah, definitely worth fighting that guy if you think you can take him for good runes pretty early on. Anyway, that's pretty much everything I did in between the last episode, which was 14, and now, as I'm recording this voiceover. Just looking at those summons there. So yeah, the next episode will be 16, which will most likely be Stormville Castle. There might be a couple things I do before that, looking around some stuff or whatever, but most likely it'll be Stormville Castle. I hope this episode was okay with you guys. Obviously not quite the same as my usual live commentary. but circumstances sort of demanded that I do it this way, because it was either do it this way or don't play at all for like 2.5, 3 days. And I definitely wanted to play, but I had to capture the stuff at least. So yeah, like I say, hope this was okay with you guys. It might happen again, we'll see, but it's definitely my preference to do the live commentary, and from now on I'm gonna definitely focus on trying to do that predominantly. Anyway, hope you guys liked the episode, and we'll be back with more very soon. Episode 16, Stormville Castle.
Sky!